Hello Trade Pros. In today's video we had a chance to sit down and speak to one of our subscribers in the daily live trading room, and we talked about strategies of overcoming risk and fear of loss in trading. Today I want to bring that video to you and a clip of the conversation in hopes of helping you turn around your own trading as well and overcoming the fear of losing money and how to rethink risk. Enjoy the video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more awesome content.
That's a really important thing that you said, Liz. Thank you for sharing that. So you're putting too much pressure on yourself because you want it to replace the job, but you know that you have to be successful with it in order for it to replace the job. And I think with risk, Liz, is that the thing with risk is when you show up to a regular job, there really isn't much risk, right? Like, can we agree that a 9-to-5 job doesn't really come with an exuberant amount of risk? Like, if you're in sales, maybe you could lose your job, but typically there isn't much risk for your job security, right? You can expect to show up to work and do a half decent job and get paid. You probably do way better than a half decent job. You seem thorough, Liz, but I'm just using an example. So you do a half decent job and you get paid. Where in trading, every day is a fight for your life, right? And every day is a risk. But then here's the interesting thing about risk as well. There's different types of risk, right? And I think the fear of loss and the fear of failure is there in everyone's mind. It's just you have to really redefine the kind of risk you're taking. So in trading, you're not taking existential risk. You're not going to die if you lose a trade. And the sad part is that your body hasn't evolved. Like, we're still animals at the end of the day, and our little risk receptors in the back of the mind are. I heard my fiance talk about this the other day too in one of her lives, which is really interesting. But you perceive risk the same. If you're in a cave and a bear is about to attack you and eat you whole, or you're in a trade, your brain doesn't know the difference between those two risks. It's existential risk. Holy crap, it's time to fight for your life. And unfortunately, when that train of thought starts to move and you start to feel like your safety's in jeopardy, the brain that you need to trade with gets shut off. That brain legitimately gets shut off, and the brain that gets turned on is the one in the back of your mind that's in charge of all the subconscious thinking. Like, have you ever thought of, you don't have to think about moving your feet when you walk, right? That happens automatically, and that's the brain that starts to process and act, and that brain is designed for risk aversion. And if you trade with that brain, you're going to get slaughtered because that brain just wants you to exit risk. Here's the thing about trading. If you don't want to take risk, don't trade, right? Guaranteed risk-free. However, it comes to a point that you have to just rethink risk and say, I think risk is actually a natural thing of life. It's risky to be a trader, but it's just as risky to work for a company 40 years and then get cut at 55, 58, whatever it is before retirement, and you can't find a job. There's all kinds of risk that's on the table. And I think the other thing that's important to realize is that it's return we're going for. We're not trading to lose money. We're trading to make it. And we have to think in terms of returns. We have to manage risk, but be excited by the opportunity to have return. There's no job in the world that you could lose 60% of the trades that you take and still be employed, right? And I think that's the other thing, is that life in general teaches you that you have to be right. From day one that we go to school, you have to be right. There's a mark for being right. All right, and being wrong is, oh no, you didn't study your lesson. But some of the greatest things in life have been discovered from being wrong, right? So if everybody was right, you probably wouldn't have electricity. Electricity would never have been invented. Because if you only looked to be right, he wouldn't have taken 10,000 attempts of being wrong. So I think everyone's got a natural fear of failure, but I think the ones that succeed just get over the fact that it's risky and say, you know what? Risk is part of this business. You're going to have to take risk. And then look at the statistics and tell your brain. I mean, there's hypnosis you could do. There's sessions that could help you with that. There's one on YouTube that I shared with somebody, and they seem to enjoy it a lot. But tell yourself this: I could lose 6 out of 10 trades that I take and still break even. So yes, there's risk. I acknowledge there's risk, but that risk is taken on for survival because I'm going to earn income doing this. And I think once you start to rethink risk that way, and the brain's a very stubborn animal. You'll tell it one thing, next morning it'll forget everything you said, and you're back to square one. So you got to repeat this to yourself. You got to write it out. You got to go through it. That's why in the morning I'm going to give you guys 3 to 5 minutes to really meditate. We're going to put together a little risk removal exercise. Get rid of the notion of risk. Focus on the gains. It's easy to say. It's really easy for me to say that, but it's hard to do. I had trouble with that too. Oh my gosh, I don't want to lose my account. What will I do afterwards? I mean, like, honestly, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to do the same thing that you have now. But if you don't like what you're doing now and you don't do the thing that you want to do, then you're just going to do what you don't like forever. You know what I mean? It's actually not that risky if you think about it. There's no risk. Risk is just a made up thing. Now, I'm not saying buy a S&P 500 contract and put a 30-point stop on it. That's unnecessary risk, right? Like, I think we have to split into two: unnecessary risk and necessary risk. And in anything that you do, I'm sorry if I'm going overtime on this discussion, but I think if it's helpful, I'll keep going. If not, I have one more point to make. In anything you do, there's a risk. When we get into the car to drive over to our family's place to have family dinner for Christmas, to get together for Christmas, we don't get in the car saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to smash into a tree and die, right? Nobody gets in the car saying that. They're like, holy crap, can't wait to go see my family. I wonder how little Johnny's doing. All right. And yet it could happen, but you're taking that risk. But your mind knows that risk is very unlikely, and it's prepared to deal with that risk when the time comes. You got to kind of train your brain to see trading the same way. You don't wake up in the morning saying, I'm going to lose all my money. But you could lose. You could have a down day. But you can't get into this business expecting. Here's the truth about life, and it took me a long time to figure this out. Very long time. Whatever you think becomes real. So if you think about, oh my gosh, risk loss, that's what's going to happen. Even though you're trying to avoid it. It's crazy. I know, it's crazy. It's nuts. I used to be like, positive, schmositive. Like, you're a positive person, and I get negative, and that positive person will continue to accomplish things, and I continue to spiral down. So they had to be onto something. It's very interesting to me that everybody wants to be different, but they don't. But they do the same thing as everyone else. Because there's herd behavior. Psychologically, you start to do things that everyone else does. And then when somebody's doing something outside the norm, that's actually fearful because they go, I don't know. And my favorite quote on that subject is, to get the things that no one else has, you got to do the things that other people aren't willing to do.